Mem Gimel Amud Beis, close to the middle of the page. Right, so we just answered that this Tana was in doubt. The reason why we weren't sure and why he answered is because the Tana was in doubt whether or not Yesh Tchumen or Ein Tchumen, and therefore the question is if Yesh Tchumen L'mayla me'asara, then he wouldn't be able to come in, and then it would have been mutter. But maybe Ein Tchumen, in which case he could come in, and that's why we answered. Okay, the koi emas is like smack that middle of the page there. The koi emas the konodar. So the last question we have on this Gemara is where exactly was this person when he made the neder? What position of the week was he when he made the neder? Right, because we said that if he makes a neder that I will become a nazir the day that Mashiach comes. So if it's a weekday, he's asur, and if it's and he's allowed to drink on Shabbos and on Yontif, allowed to drink wine. Now, what exactly happened? What was the sequence of events here that led to this halacha? So one more time, the koi emas to konodar. Where at which point of the week was he standing? Was his position when he made a neder? If he made the neder originally on a Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and he said, "I will be a nazir the day that Mashiach comes." Kiv nechala naziros, since the naziros was already chal during the week. The fact that Mashiach didn't come on Shabbos, we know that it doesn't allow you to drink on Shabbos. You're already a nazir. You're already nazir from the fact that he might have come during the weekday. Kiv nechala naziros heichi asya shabbata umafkalei. There would be it wouldn't make sense why we would allow you to be drinking on Shabbos when it's certainly possible you might have already been a nazir early in the week. Ella must be the koi b'shabbata. The only way it makes sense that we're allowing you to drink wine on Shabbos, knowing that Mashiach could not have come on Shabbos since Eliyahu Hanavi didn't come on Friday. He says, must be that you stood on Shabbos, you made a neder on Shabbos, v'kanadar, or you're standing on Yontif and you made a neder. And it's only on that day that it's mutter, because we know that today it didn't happen, and we know it didn't happen last week because even if it did, you didn't become a nazir last week. That you never made the naziris from, you never made a neder. It's only from here further will the neder take effect, and since the neder will only take effect mikan laba, and we know that he didn't come this Shabbos, so this particular Shabbos, it's mutter for him to drink the wine. But for every subsequent Shabbos, since we don't know exactly when he came, if and when he's coming, so, and you're not sure yet when the day hits, whether it's going to happen, so every day becomes asur, including Shabbos. So the only Shabbos Yontif that's permissible is the very first one when he made the neder. Other than that, his neder prohibits him. Let's take a look at Rashi. One Rashi, the koi b'Shabbos v'kanodar b'Yontif the koi b'Shabbos v'kanodar b'Yontif v'kanodar. He was standing on Shabbos. He made a neder, or
he's allowed to make a neder on Shabbos.
I mean, he's not supposed to make a neder. You're not supposed to become a nazir on Shabbos. Not sure why. I'm not sure why you wouldn't be allowed to do it. Let's see. Klaimar. Shekibel. I'm sorry. Let's do Rashi before that. One more Rashi before that. So Kivin the Chala Naziris Berev Shabbos. Misafkele. We did the one. Yeah. So Berev Shabbos Misafkele Dilma Umisafke Dilma Asim Mashiach Hayoim Lebezin Agadol. Right. So we have a doubt. Maybe Mashiach came today to the Bezin Agadol. Seichem Mishri Lishos Samachar b'Shabbos. How do we know? How do we allow him to drink wine on Shabbos if he made the neder during the week? Maybe he already came to the Bezin Agadol yesterday, and Mashiach is in town. He just hasn't gotten out of his debriefing with the Bezin Agadol. They're still there discussing his trip and all of the new circumstance, what's going to happen once he shows up. So there's no proof that his Naziris already isn't in effect. So once his Naziris is in effect, it doesn't get popped out just because Shabbos hits. That's not the way it goes. Once a Nazir, always a Nazir. You're a Nazir for the full 30 days, depending on how long standard Naziris is 30 days. So it wouldn't make sense if he made a neder during the weekday that there would be on Shabbos be mutter. So the only way it makes sense is the koy b'Shabbos v'konadar, b'yontav v'konadar, kloimar, meaning to say shekibel neder zeh hoye Shabbos yontav. When he accepted upon himself this neder, it was either Shabbos yontav. V'hayda diktani mutter l'shtois b'Shabbos v'yom tovim. And that which we said in the Bryce that you're allowed to drink on Shabbos yontiv, oisa Shabbos or also yontiv. Shnodar. It's only on that particular Shabbos or that particular yontiv in which he made the neder. Av mikan ve'elach aser, v'afil b'Shabbos. But beyond that, it's aser even on Shabbos. Dilma aser esmo ben David v'chala naziris. Maybe Mashiach came on Friday and you don't know about it yet. Okay, so he still has not revealed himself to the entire world. Bez and Agadol knows about it. That seems to be his first stop, but doesn't mean he's not here. And certainly your neder would be in effect. Okay, so that takes care of the Mashiach and the flying and that little interesting little sugya we just finished. Okay, so and the whole issue of tchumen above 10. So let's proceed. So at the end of the day, we're not sure. Doesn't seem that we have a specific position that really you can pin anybody down to, and it seems like the talk of the Aleph seems to be on the word Svuke Misafkila, so it sounds like you'd have to be Machmir. Okay.
Machmir, meaning you assume there's the Tchum.
Yeah, that means right that you wouldn't be allowed to do a high jump out of the Tchum to get you above 10 wouldn't really help. Okay. So the next part of the mission talks about one time they came to the port and it was already Shabbos, which means now the question is where were they before Shabbos in terms of the measuring? Okay, were they in the Tchum, out of the Tchum, etc., etc. So Tana, we learned in the Brisa. We're getting him back now.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. Okay. So anybody on the tape, if they have a Pirush Chai, so. See if you can find it. So Tana, we learned in the Brisa, Shveres Haisel Rabbi Gamliel. We have a Brisa that says like this, as follows. That there was a sort of a long pipe type of instrument. It looks like a telescope without the lenses. So Shveres Haisel Rabbi Gamliel, Shayamabit, V'Tzeifel Apayim Amma. With this instrument, it was calibrated and measured to the point where he was able to see 2,000 amas. That's how far he was able to see with the instrument. More than that, it became fuzzy. So that's, so if you can still see, that means you're within 2,000 amas. Once I lose sight of what is I'm looking at, that means we've gone beyond the 2,000 amas. Okay. So the Brisa says, Basha, and that was on dry land. Who connect Alpine Biyam, and paralleling that distance was also 2,000 amas on the sea. He would look out into the sea, and when you can still see clearly, that was within 2,000 amas. If they were within that framework already, then you're good to go. Okay, and if they're not, then you're not good to go. Then you came from outside the Tchum, and that would be a problem. Okay, so he says, at least according to certain opinions. Now, I said that was one thing. The first thing that the Brisa mentions is like what we have in the Mishnah. This instrument that was able to measure 2,000 amas is, as you can see in the diagram, that there was a certain angle, I guess, of how things were calibrated, and the more narrow you put it down, obviously, the less you'll see. But I guess at the farthest point, it was 2,000 amas. That was within your vision using this particular tubing. Now, another aspect of using this tubing, using this instrument, if you want to see how deep a valley is. So you're on top of the Hollywood sign, and you're looking down. I imagine there's a deep valley at that point, and you want to know how far that valley is from where you are, you can use this instrument as well to determine that. Maybe shoferis, you bring this tube, umabidba, and you look through it, the yoda kam omka shalgai, and you'll be able to see how deep it is. Okay, and therefore, if you can still see the bottom, then you know you can keep backing up, and as you back up, the more you back up, the distance you back up will be the distance addition to 2,000 that will get you to the 2,000. You'll see how much more you backed up, and then you'll be able to calculate it, I guess, that way. That's example number 2. If you want to measure how tall a tree is, this is not using the tubing. Moded kamaso v'tzilo v'tzel kamaso. You measure your height. You measure the shade of the tree, v'tzel kamaso, and the shade of your height, and you see the percentage as you're looking in the diagram there. Okay, v'yeda kama gova shel dekel, and by calculating your height to the shadow, you can, and then the length of the shadow, that same percentage will be true, proportionate to the tree, to the palm tree. So, if let's say the shadow is twice your height, well, then you measure the measure of the shadow of the palm tree, and you cut that in half, and you know that the shadow was twice the height of the tree, just like the shadow was twice the height of you, the individual. Okay, so simple math used in an interesting way. And finally, if you don't want wild animals hanging out in the shade of your cemetery, okay, so what is that? I can't see the animal there.
Fox or
whatever, okay, it's something. Oh, there it is. Okay, yeah, it's hiding.
in the middle picture.
Looks like a fox. Okay, whatever it is, it's an animal you don't really want digging up your grave of your relative to start eating away, at the ground, and who knows what he can do when he gets chas v'shalom to the body. So you don't want to go there. So you have to prevent this animal from seeking shade on a hot day, and then hanging out in that area, and then smelling maybe the body underneath the ground, and then start digging it up. So how do you avoid that? Okay, so one more time. So kever, you don't want a wild animal hanging out in the shade of a grave. No, it's kana b'dalad shas. Okay, you stick a stick into the ground at 4 hours into the day, which is the hottest part of the day. Okay, shas biyom v'yira lahechan tselo nota. And you see which direction the shade is going in at the moment of where the stick is at that 10 o'clock, time frame. At 10 a.m., the sun is at its, on a 12-hour day from 6 to 6. 10 o'clock would be the time that it would be in most intense. That's where the animal's going to start looking for shade. You see the direction of the shade. In that direction, you then build a slope, as you see, and then the Brisa continues, mashpia v'ola mashpia v'yored, and you make a slant, a slopey kind of structure that doesn't allow for the shade, for the place to be shady, because now there's no more place for the animal to hide. It's now a slanty, slopey thing, which clearly avoids any possible shade area. So there goes that idea. So you've now prevented any animals from hanging out near your relative's grave. Okay, let's catch up in the Rashis here about all these different formulas and situations. Before one more, Shofaferes. Okay, so you bring this tubing. Kana cholol. Okay, it is a open pipe. Okay, or tube, ukshu aruch, okay, and when it's long, ein sofa l'merachok, kshu aruch ein sofin bo l'merachok, kshu kotzar tzofin bo yoser. Right, so when it's very long, you can't see at a distance, and then when you make it narrower, then you could see closer. And this particular tubing of Rabbi Gamliel was calibrated exactly, Lamidas Tzfias Alpayim, that you can measure 2,000 amas, Obiyam, Obiyabasha, whether it be the sea or whether it be the ground, you're able to see. So it was, basically he did the trial and error to see that based on the length of the tube and the narrowness and all of that, it was a 2,000 amma measurement of where you can see.
Can we go back to that, Nancy? Could you go back to the tube thing? Oh, that's the front of the sea. Okay, so he's on land and he's looking out to the 2,000 amas to the sea. That's the idea, right?
It could be, or he could be on a boat.
Okay, well let's. They've already docked. Now he's trying to see how far is 2,000 amas. How does he know that the ship came in? Even if he could see 2,000 amas, how does he know that that's where their ship was before they docked? I'm missing the point here.
Well, I guess he knew the time, right? He knew when Shabbos hit.
Right, when Shabbos was starting, he looked through to see if he was within 2,000 of land. And if he saw land clearly, he knew he was. And if he wasn't able to see land...
Yeah, but now he's already docked.
He did this on the boat before they docked.
Before they docked.
Yeah.
He was on the boat.
Before they docked, he looks at the time.
He looked to see if they were within 2,000 amas or not.
Right, he looked at the sun, he saw the sky, he saw, now this is when Shabbos is hitting, let's see where we are. And he saw that he was within the framework of the city of 2,000 amas.
And therefore he could disembark?
Yeah, and he can walk, because that city, you already acquired that city at the time of the...
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
I just want to make sure I got this.
Okay. Now, next Rashi. Sakama Onka Shalgai, if you now want to see something else, you want to see how deep a valley is, Mevishveres Umabit, but you bring this tubing and you look into it, Biabasha, you look into the dry ground, Vimdot Kama Amos Hu Yochel Litzvos Bone, you can measure, you see how, I guess you try it out. You see at that point, you go, you send your kid out there, it's okay, I can see that rock. Where is that rock? And beyond that rock, I don't see anymore, right? It's like, with the doctor, can you see? Read the bottom line. Sometimes you can see it, and then when at a certain point you can't see it anymore. So instead of seeing it on the screen, you keep backing up. Can you read it now? Can you read it now? I can't read it anymore. I can't see it anymore. So now that's what I can. That's the distance I can see. So then you take that instrument, measure it, and calibrate it to that distance. Then you go to the edge of the. You go to the Hollywood sign by some top of the valley, looking down. Yitzafa bola omko, and you put it down to its depth, and you see if you can still see. Yisrach kol achurov, and you keep going back ad shiavchin shemokom shekola omko shagai shom kola tzfias hashveres. Okay, and as you go backwards to see, how far you can see. You can recognize at the point that the 1 second. That the depth of the valley ends at the height at the site where my sight ends, where I can't see anymore. If I'm going to go back a little bit more, I'm not going to be able to see the ground. I will lose sight. So that you've measured out to that distance. V'yeda, and you'll know she'omko shalgai v'achakoso shesrachek misfaso have a kamidas tzias hashveres, and then you'll know that the depth of the guy and the distance you also traveled to behind you, because you kept backing up because you can still see. Oh, so now you added this amount, and that's where you can't see anymore, and that's the. Have a committed tzias hashoferes. Right? I guess you subtract the ground that you walk back from the distance of the calibrated tubing, and then that
that's the depth.
That's the depth. So it's really less, right? It'll be less because you can see, I can see. So that was really much. It was much closer. So you were able to back up. So let's say you backed up 20 feet. It's 20 feet less than let's say the 2,000 amas that you calibrate, and then that's the depths of the valley. Okay. And what about the whole tree thing? You're afraid to go up there and just measure it. You haven't been practicing your tree climbing. Okay, and Tarzan's not around. So what do? So Yimdad Tziloy Shel Dekel, V'Tzel Kamoso, Shel Atzmo, you measure the shade of the dekel and your own shade. Upa'amim Shetel Rabba Ala Meitzel. There are times that the shade is greater than the one producing the shade. Upam Shameitzel Rabba Ala Tzel. Sometimes the body is bigger, right? Sometimes your shade is shorter than you, sometimes your shade is longer than you. So you have to obviously take that into account in this particular calculation. When the sun is high, in the sky, the shade of a person will be smaller. And when the sun is lower, your shade is longer. Hilkach moded af tzeil kamoso. You also therefore measure your own tzeil as it relates to your body. L'fima yira shir betzel kamoso al kamoso yodasher rabatel dekel al dekel. To the extent that your shade increases the length of your body over your actual body, then you know that percentage will apply to the tree. O kiflayim, o shlish or via. It could be double, it could be a third, it could be a quarter, depending on what it is. That's the measurement for the tree, and it should be basically simple math. Okay, and the final eitzah tova of this brayse is a rota shlo tishra chayira b'tzel kever. You don't want wild animals hanging out near your relatives' graves. Like these stones, these monuments, they're placed over the kever, like we do, and you gather up the earth, and you let it slant in either direction. You don't want this. So it wasn't like nowadays we make this solid rock cement, right? Our stones, our tombstones are very hard and not really ripe for digging. You can't dig in there. But if you just had earth as your matzeva, right, and you put some kind of a, whatever writing, whatever you want to do on it, and you do the best you can, but it's more of a makeshift kind of job. And I guess in the olden days that's what they did. And you don't want this dog or this animal's, sniffing around and hanging out in the shade of the kever because of the sun. Will smell the dead body. Will start digging in there. So you don't want that to happen. That could lead to a pretty ugly situation. So what do? No, it's kana b'dalat shos. You stick a pole into the ground at 4 hours into the day. Shabor lasois habinyin. When you make the structure, you're not going to be abishos. You stick a pole into the ground 4 hours b'yoyim. That's when it really starts heating up. But tzel tzonein and the hatzel tzonein, and the shade now becomes cooler. In other words, that's now would be much more desirable. The contrast between the shady place and the hotter place becomes more clear and more apparent during that time because it's just getting hotter. In 2 hours, the shady place won't be that good either, right? And because the shade's also going to get hot. In the hot sun of the Middle East, it's not going to, that shade's not going to help you that much later on, but it will help you right at that moment of transition, and that's 4 hours into the day. What is the time of the sun that it's hottest? But and the shade is coolest. Shows. The Gemara Bracha says that's 4 hours into the day. Therefore, that's when the animals are going to want to, get into that shade right at that time, because they know a little bit later it's not going to work. They're pretty smart, these animals. And you can see when you stick this stick into the ground, that direction where the shade is going, nota yishafa binyan, that's where you make the slant of the structure of the grave, the tombstone or the gravesite. You want to make it in a way where there is no shade available for an animal at that point because it's just too slanty and too slopey. for anything to give you any place of refuge. Well, obviously the sun's going to move. You're going to have shade in the other direction. So, eventually, later on in the day, as the sun moves, the shade's going to go. So you're not going to cover it from the other end. What are you going to do there? Since at that point there is no shade, sulo asya chaya lesonein, but siloi. Since at the key point there is no shade, he's not going to come back later to try to rest in the shade in the other direction. That he shaita ozla ad damashcha. He shaita ozla the adamashcha, I guess, because he left already at that time when it was really necessary, and at that point, once he didn't find refuge there, he's not going to come back to the scene, again. V'yod, and furthermore, the la'achar b'shos afatzel cham. It won't help after 4 hours really that much. Even the shade becomes hot. He's not going to want shade anymore because at that point, since the day's already been so hot, heated up, by the time 2 or 3 o'clock comes by, you're not going to get any refuge in the shade because the shade's not going to help you. It's 110 in the shade, so it's 112 outside. The difference between 112 and 110, is not that big of a difference. So he's not running to that shade. So either once he tried, he's not going to come back, or it's not even going to help if he wanted to come back. So that's why you don't have to do. I guess if you want to cover yourself, you do it both sides. But the Bryce is saying you don't have to do both ends. As long as you do the end, the side of the slope where there's shade at 10 o'clock of the day, that's enough to dissuade the animal, and you don't have to do both sides and make it like a slope in both directions. Okay.
They solved the problem by putting graves so close together. There's not enough room for the animal.
Okay. It's certainly in Har Zaysim, that's the case.
Jewish cemeteries,
Yeah.
Look at it, there's like no space between the graves.
I hear you. Okay, so let's proceed. Okay, back to the Gemara. The Chemya, I have a dot, you probably don't, but 8-9 lines up. Nechemya brei derev chaniloi moshchasei shmaitza. So Nechemya is son of Chaniloi, and this happens to us all the time when we're deep in thought, chazering Amid Yomi by heart. We get so absorbed in the sugya. Moshchasei shmaitza. He was drawn by his learning, and he became like totally, totally involved in his learning and uninvolved and unaware of what's going on around him. And he left the tchum. Okay, so his learning dragged him outside the area, and he wakes, and like in the middle, as he took a break, he looks around. Oh my gosh, where am I? I'm outside the tchum. I got too drawn into my shir. What do I do now? So he's stuck. He's stuck outside the tchum, and he can't come back. And he's obviously a distressed person because he didn't have his cholent yet. You can smell the cholent from the shul, and it's not easy to be stuck outside the tchum, and you can't get back from Rabbi Samuel's cholent. So Amalei Rav Chizah said, let's to Rav Nachman. So Rav Chizah was looking for an answer. He knew what happened. Okay, and he sees, and he goes to Rav Nachman, and he says, Nechemya Talmidcha Shari B'tzar. Your student Nechemya is in great distress. The poor boy got so involved in his shir, in his learning, that he was not aware of the tchum, and now he's out of the tchum. What can we do for him? Can you have an eitzah? Okay, so Amallah, he said to him, get a bunch of guys, okay, and have them make a makeshift fence to surround him, that when he's going, he's
enclosed.
He's enclosed. So when you're enclosed, remember we said when you're enclosed, you have the entire area of the enclosure. So if you can make a fence of bodies surrounding him to the point where he's within 2,000 amis, it would be no different than a city. It would be no different than an enclosure where you can walk to the far end of the enclosure, and in doing so, he's within his original 2,000 amis. And the halacha was, we said before, if you got the entire city, now you can traverse because you're back inside the city in a permissible way.
Yeah. Where are these people coming from? They're coming from the city, right? They're going past.
Well, obviously they're not for them. They're not beyond the tchum.
Yeah, I mean it's
right. There was a little shtibel out there. that people were davening in. I guess it was maybe it was a Vad Musar. They used to have these Musar houses outside of the town. So they had a nice little place where people were gathering to learn Musar, and they specifically, and for them, they were still, for them everything was good, and they were within the area. So you could grab it, but you're right. If they had to walk outside the tchum, then right, it wouldn't work.
So we have a little shul out there.
Right, exactly.
Chabad is right. Chabad.
Exactly. Okay, Chabad of Uganda. Yeah. Okay. I'm sure there was probably one in Uganda. No. Okay.
I have no idea.
Okay. There's got to be. Okay. So he says. So Amalai Asela Mechitza Shabari Adam V'Ikanes. Okay, make a mechitza of people and let them enter. So Yosef Nachem Bar Yitzchak Achure Derava. So while this is going on, so again, what happened? He's stuck outside. Rav Chizah runs back into the Beis Medrash to, I guess he wasn't, whatever. They were inside, like, he can just call him. He can just, scream to him from a distance, and you don't have a problem. So he ran into Rav Nachman to find out what to do. Rav Nachman gave him an answer. While this is going on, Rav Nachman Yitzchak is sitting behind Rava. V'Yosef Rava Kameid Rav Nachman, and Rava, one of the great Amorim of his generation, was sitting in front of Rav Nachman. So Amalei Rav Nachman Yitzchak Rava, so Rav Nachman Yitzchak, who was somewhat removed, whispers to Rava, "My kami boy Rav Chizah." What was Rav Chizah's problem? Why does he have to run into Rav Nachman to ask about what to do? What I don't understand what he was perturbed about. What was he doubting about? What was he unsure about? Okay, if you had enough people to fill up the area, okay, to be able to get him back into the 2,000 amas of the tchum of the city, okay, ukami boile or the city limits, ukami boile. Right, as we turn the page, top of Mdal Ramad Aleph, at least move our eyes to the top of the page, that it was a shaila, do we pass like Rabbi Gamliel or not? Is that what he wasn't sure about? That there were plenty of guys. This base Vad was filled to the gills at that particular moment in time, that you had no shortage of people to create this makeshift wall. And maybe his whole doubt was, but big deal. If you're into Rabbi Akiva, and if you're into Rabbi Yeshua, we don't hold to this concept that once you're out, you can get back in through, walking inside, within the framework of the 2,000 amis. He says, is that was a shaila? Whether we possibly Rabbi Gamliel or not? Okay, it was that, or maybe not. Maybe there weren't enough people to fill up the area to get him inside the 2,000 amis. Okay, and then what was a shaila? Okay, or maybe the shaila was, do we follow Rabbi Elazar, who we have not, I don't believe we've learned about him yet, who says if you're within 2 amis, you can jump right back in. So 2 amis there's like a leeway of 2 amis. If you're within, normally we said you have to be in, but even if you're within 2 amis, you can jump in. And maybe the shaila was...
Within 2 amas, why does he have to jump?
I don't mean, that was just...
He can skip.
Yeah, you can walk.
He can walk.
Grace period.
He can walk. He's got 4 amas.
Okay. I just used the word. I'm sorry. Okay.
Well, because we were jumping before.
I understand. Okay. I'm sorry. The word jump, scratch that word. He can walk. He can stroll right back in. Okay. I just want to make it dramatic, but I guess you don't like drama. So jumping is,
I like drama.
Okay.
Because he wasn't allowed to walk.
I'm sorry. Okay.
Keep it up, please. I like.
Okay. Fine. So Odil Bidlo Moligavre, or do you say one more time? What do you say that there weren't enough people to fill it in? Askinan Ukami Boyle. So he says. So the answer is he answered back. So this is what Rav Nachman by Yitzchak asked Rava, who was sitting in front of Rav Nachman, who answered Rav Chizda, who then told the guy stuck outside of town what to do. So Gemara says. So Rava answered it back. I hear your shaila, but I don't see there's a shaila. It's very clear what Rav Chiz's question was. It had to be that there were not enough people to fill in the area to get into town. Because if indeed there were enough people to fill up the surrounded area and get this kid back into town, okay, actually, I don't know if it's a kid. He's who was it? He already had a name ready. Nechemia Braid of Cheniloy. Okay, so he was. He might have been a teenager. Anyway, so he says. So So he says, because if you're going to tell me there are enough people, there would be no shaila. Rav Chiz would never have bothered to ask Rav Nachman a question where the resolution would have been that easy. Amr Rav, it's already established. We already said what Rav said. Right? Rav, I don't know why you have to even quote Rav. Even Shmuel agreed that we follow Rabbi Gamliel by the deer and the sahar, but for good measure, we do. Rav is the man, apparently, right? That was Rav Chiz's man, and Rav Paskind, like Rabbi Gamliel, in all areas, by the deer, the sar, and the boat. So there would have been no shaila about this makeshift wall, by using people to build a human wall. Elavadai, therefore, must be that his shaila was below Molagavi. There weren't enough people. It wasn't ripe time for Musar at that time, so the base Musar wasn't filled up with a bunch of people. Askin, and that's what we're talking about. Udra Blazer Kohen Boile. And indeed, the shaila was in Rabbi Eliezer. Do we follow him or not? And I'll even prove it to you as we get to, again, my dot. I have a dot here. Dekenami, I'll even prove it to you. The Kamala Yikones, right? Because what was Rav Nachman's language? Oslim mechitza shemani adam v'yikones. Get him, make a mechitza of humanity for him, and let him enter. That word "enter" is a funny word. Ma'ikones below mechitza. Sounds like entering. Sounds like you're entering without even a wall. That the wall ended. The human wall ended.
4 amos.
No, nonetheless, like an am and a half within the city, within the 2,000 amas, and we're giving you that 2 amma leeway to stroll right back in very nicely, and you're good to go. So that word yikones implies that you're not surrounded when you're entering into the city area and reacquiring your life and getting your chance to come back and have lunch and be a regular member of society. Okay. So that's another proof that indeed that was a shaila, because the word yikones implies that. Let's catch up on the Rashis here. Okay. B'demolu gavre, right? That's what we're up to. About 6 lines up from the bottom of Rashi's on Amud Beis. Shayulo anoshim harbe. Okay, shichon lotzeis. That you had a lot of people that are able to go out there chutz tchum gon shi irvu lasesol mechitza mikan mechitza mikan. The case would be obviously they made an eruv. That's to answer Gary's question. Is that they made an eruv already, that they had more distance because they wanted to go out there for whatever reason. Okay, might being something interesting going on out there on Shabbos, so they made an eruv, but he didn't obviously. To get them back into the tchum, all you have to do is make a human fence, and you're good to go. So he wanted to know what was Rav Chiz perturbed about or doubtful about, that he needed to come to Rav Nachman and ask him a shaila. Was it Allah Gamliel Delevi Le Mechitza Shloi Shavas? Because these are mechitzas that he did not rest in when Shabbos came. And we know that Rabbi Kiva holds you have to be in those mechitzas before. Like we said by the dir v'sar. Was that the shaila? Do we follow Rabbi Gamliel or not? Or maybe he's absolutely certain that the halacha follows Rabbi Gamliel. And the problem here was that the people were not enough to fill up the area. You didn't have enough men to fill up the area until you got inside the tchum. But you were able to just get 2 amis to the tchum and not more. Okay, so you couldn't complete the wall. I guess you couldn't play the games. I mean, you could move them. I don't know why you couldn't just keep moving the people. I guess I don't know. I'm not sure. Yeah. As he walked in, I'm not sure, but maybe you'd even have people for that.
Dynamic wall.
I don't know. What?
A dynamic wall. As you move, your wall moves with you.
Okay. Ukumboile, top of the page in Rashi. Ukumboile,
Because we didn't have. In other words, the wall was safe. You could move within the walled area, but we didn't have where the wall is moving.
Well, that's what the circle would be.
Actually, no. We learned you can't. Well, in Sukkot, you learned you can't, because the animal that you use for a wall can't move. So I'd assume, based on the animal can't move that you used to make one of your walls in your sukkah, you couldn't use people to be moving, maybe that's why they didn't do
Okay, interesting about this movie. Okay, well
No, but in sukkahs,
I hear. But that's by sukkah. You're trying to
well, it's a
mix.
wall though, but you're making a,
Okay, but by now you know a wall is not a wall is not a wall. I mean, there are different walls for different situations. Okay, so Dekinam, I'll even bring a raya that's the way it was, that the Shaila was about Rabbi Eliezer, not about Rabbi Gamliel. I'm sorry. The first top Rashi, Halach Rabbi Eliezer, the Amba Masison, who says later on, the Aleph tells us, Nun Bey, L'Kamondaf Nun Bey's Amid Beys. Okay, so we're getting there. Still a while away. Yeah. Okay, that what? If somebody goes Chutz Tchum, Shtei Amos Yikodes. If he's within 2 Amos away from the Tchum, we're going to give you that little leeway to come right back in. And they can Ami, the Beloy Mola Gavri, I'll prove it to you, the Amalei Rav Nachman, Osam Mechitz, Shobnei Adam Vikones. And make a Mechitz and enter. What do you have to say yikonis for? Elohachi kamar must be as mechitza ad ashtayim. What he meant to say is make a mechitza until you're within 2 ames. V'akach yikonis hu me'atzma below mechitza. And afterwards you can come in even without a mechitza because the shaila was you follow Belazar or not.